FIBA just made a mistake. And I mean, the kind of mistake that changes everything. The kind of mistake that confirms what millions of basketball fans have been waiting to hear. The kind of mistake that wasn't supposed to happen yet. But here's the thing. Was it really a mistake? Or was it a calculated move designed to break the internet? Because what FIBA posted on their social media channels wasn't just some random promotional content. No, it was something far more significant. It was a declaration, a statement, a prophecy wrapped in marketing genius. They posted an image, Clark, Paige Bueckers, side by side, and underneath that image, 3 words that sent shockwaves through the basketball world. The next chapter. Now, let me ask you something. Why would FIBA, the governing body of international basketball, the organization that controls World Cups and Olympic qualifiers, why would they specifically highlight these 2 players, unless they already knew something we didn't? Think about it. FIBA doesn't make moves like this randomly. They don't guess. They don't hope. They operate on certainties. They promote players who are guaranteed to generate views, players who are guaranteed to fill seats, players who are guaranteed to be on that roster. And right now, the only guarantee in women's basketball that moves the needle like this is Clark and Paige Bueckers, together on Team USA for the first time ever. Let that sink in for a moment. The 2 most electrifying players of this generation, the 2 most marketable names in the sport, the 2 athletes who have single-handedly transformed women's basketball into must-watch television. They're about to share the same court, wearing the same jersey, representing the same flag. And FIBA just told us without telling us. This isn't speculation anymore, folks. This is reading between the lines of what's already been written in permanent ink. The qualifying tournament in San Juan, Puerto Rico, March 11th through the 17th, is about to become the most talked about basketball event of the year. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because this roster decision, it's not just about talent. It's not just about star power. It's about strategy. It's about the future. And it's about what USA basketball has been planning behind closed doors for months. See, there's a philosophy when it comes to these qualifying tournaments. And most casual fans don't understand it. They think Team USA should always send their absolute best. The A-team, the superstars, the proven veterans. But that's not how this works. That's not how this has ever worked. Qualifying tournaments are developmental stages. They're proving grounds. They're opportunities to blood in the next generation while the established stars rest, recover, and prepare for the games that truly matter. Think about it from a pure basketball perspective. A'ja Wilson, 2-time MVP, WNBA champion, the most dominant force in the league. But she just finished an exhausting season. Her body needs recovery time. Her mind needs a break. Does USA basketball really need to see what A'ja can do against qualifiers? They already know. Everyone already knows. Breanna Stewart, another former MVP, World Cup gold medalist, one of the most complete players in basketball history. But she's dealt with injuries. She's managed workloads. She doesn't need to prove anything in a qualifier. Her legacy is already written. Sabrina Ionescu, the walking triple-double machine, same story, same situation. These veterans have earned the right to sit this one out. And more importantly, they want to sit this one out. But you know who doesn't want to sit out? You know who's hungry for this opportunity? Clark. She's been waiting, watching, working in the shadows while the criticism mounted and the doubters grew louder. Remember Paris? Remember how she was left off that Olympic roster? Remember how the world questioned whether she deserved to be there? That wound never healed. And now she has a chance to prove every single critic wrong on the international stage, with the weight of a nation watching. This isn't just basketball for Clark anymore. This is redemption. This is vindication. This is a statement that she belongs at the highest level. And Paige Bueckers? Oh, Paige has been waiting even longer. Think about her journey for a second. The injuries, the setbacks, the NCAA championship that finally came after years of fighting through pain and adversity. She's the most talented player UConn has produced since Diana Taurasi, and that's not hyperbole. That's just fact. Now she's entering the WNBA. Fresh, motivated, ready to prove that she's not just a college star. She's a generational talent capable of dominating at every level. What better way to announce your arrival than by representing your country? What better way to silence the skeptics than by performing on the world stage alongside the most hyped player in basketball? This is the moment both of them have been building toward. But here's where the conversation gets complicated, because some people, and I mean a lot of people, have been asking the same question since this rumor started gaining traction. Can they play together? Think about it. Caitlin Clark is a point guard. Paige Bueckers is a point guard. They both need the ball in their hands to be effective. They both thrive when they're running the offense, making plays, controlling the tempo. So, how do you fit them on the same team? How do you make it work without one of them sacrificing their game? This is where coaching genius comes in. This is where USA basketball proves why they're the best in the world. Because the answer isn't complicated. The answer is actually quite simple. You play them at the 1 and 2 positions, together. See, Caitlin Clark isn't just a point guard. She's a scoring point guard. She can play off the ball because her shooting range is absolutely ridiculous. We're talking limitless three-pointers. We're talking the kind of pull-up jumpers that make defenders wake up in cold sweats. And Paige has always been more of a combo guard anyway. She can run point when needed, but she's equally deadly as a shooting guard. Her court vision doesn't disappear just because someone else has the ball. Her playmaking doesn't vanish when she's catching and shooting. Together, they create mismatches that international defenses simply cannot solve. Put Clark on the ball and let Paige work off screens. Put Paige on the ball and let Caitlin space the floor with her gravity. Run pick and rolls. Run dribble handoffs. Run motion offense that keeps both of them moving, both of them touching the ball, both of them creating chaos. It's not about one or the other. It's about both. And that's exactly what USA basketball understands. But the backcourt situation isn't even the most interesting roster decision being discussed right now, because there's another name that keeps coming up in these conversations. A'ja Reese. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. A'ja Reese and Caitlin Clark on the same team? After everything that's happened between them? After the rivalry that defined college basketball? After the tension and the headlines and the endless debates about who's better? Yes, exactly. That's precisely what makes this tournament so compelling. These three players represent different things to different fans. They appeal to different audiences. They ignite different conversations. And putting them together, forcing them to coexist, to collaborate, to work toward a common goal, that's either going to be beautiful basketball or it's going to be must-watch drama. Either way, you're tuning in. Either way, the ratings are going through the roof. And FIBA knows this. USA basketball knows this. Nike knows this. Which brings us to the next layer of this story. Because there's something else happening in sand, one that nobody is talking about yet. Something that could overshadow the games themselves. Something that could generate more headlines than any three-pointer or double-double. Caitlin Clark's Nike sneaker debut. That's right. According to multiple sources close to the situation, the qualifying tournament in Puerto Rico is expected to be the official unveiling of Caitlin Clark's signature Nike shoe. The one that's been in development for months. The one that's been teased in social media posts and cryptic marketing campaigns. The shoe that could become the best-selling women's basketball sneaker of all time. Think about the timing. Think about the synergy. Think about how perfectly orchestrated this entire thing appears to be. FIBA promotes Clark and Bueckers as the next chapter just weeks before the tournament. Nike prepares to launch the most anticipated sneaker release in women's sport history. And suddenly, A qualifying tournament that most casual fans wouldn't normally care about becomes the biggest basketball event of the spring. This isn't coincidence. This is coordination. This is marketing brilliance executed at the highest level. And honestly, I'm here for it. Because this is exactly what women's basketball needs. This is exactly what the WNBA has been building toward. For decades, the league has struggled with viewership, struggled with recognition, struggled with the kind of mainstream attention that drives merchandise sales and television ratings. But Caitlin Clark changed everything. Her rookie season wasn't just successful, it was transformative. Ratings spiked whenever she played. Merchandise flew off the shelves. Social media engagement exploded. She made women's basketball cool in a way it hadn't been since the earliest days of the league. And now, with Paige Bueckers entering the WNBA and immediately teaming up with Clark on the international stage, we're witnessing the birth of a new era. An era where women's basketball doesn't just compete with other sports, it leads the conversation. An era where young girls have role models who are as famous as any male athlete. An era where the WNBA finally gets the respect it has always deserved. But let's slow down for a second, because as exciting as all of this sounds, there are still questions that need answers. The roster hasn't been officially announced yet. USA basketball is staying quiet. And while FIBA's leak seems pretty definitive, there's always a possibility of surprise. What if there's an injury? What if negotiations fall through? What if something happens between now and March that changes everything? And more importantly, what about the veteran presence? Because as talented as Clark and Bueckers are, they're still young. They're still learning. They've never played together at this level. And international basketball is different from the college game or even the WNBA. The referees call things differently. The pace is different. The physicality is different. So who's going to guide them? Who's going to provide the leadership and experience they'll need when the games get tight and the pressure mounts? This is where Chelsea Gray enters the conversation. And this is where the roster strategy gets really fascinating. Chelsea Gray is one of the smartest basketball players alive. She's won championships at every level. She's been named Finals MVP. She understands the game in ways that most players never will. But here's what makes her inclusion so intriguing. Chelsea has been transitioning her game. She's no longer playing traditional point guard minutes. Instead, she's been experimenting with a small ball for a role, essentially playing power forward while using her basketball IQ to create advantages. Now, some of you might be confused by that. A point guard playing power forward? How does that even work? It works because Chelsea Gray isn't just a point guard. She's a tactician. She can post up smaller defenders. She can facilitate from the high post. She can read defenses and make the right pass before anyone else even sees the play developing. Put her at the 4 position with Clark and Bueckers running the backcourt, and suddenly you have 3 elite passers on the floor at the same time. 3 players who see the game differently. 3 players who can make reads and create opportunities out of nothing. That's not just a lineup. That's a cheat code. And if USA basketball is smart, and they are, that's exactly the kind of experimentation this qualifying tournament should feature. Because remember, this isn't about winning gold medals. This is about development. This is about building chemistry. This is about figuring out what works and what doesn't before the games that actually matter. The World Cup, the Olympics, the moments when the entire world is watching. That's when you need your veterans at full strength. That's when you need everyone locked in and ready. But this tournament, this is the laboratory. This is where you test theories. This is where you take risks. And the biggest risk of all, the biggest experiment USA basketball could run, is trusting the future. Trusting that Caitlin Clark is ready for this moment. Trusting that Paige Bueckers can handle the pressure. Trusting that this new generation of players can carry the flag without the safety net of every established superstar backing them up. That's what makes this tournament so important. That's what makes it so exciting. That's what makes it absolutely must-watch television. Because we're not just watching basketball games. We're watching history being written in real time. We're watching the torch being passed from one generation to the next. We're watching two young women who have been rivals, who have been compared constantly, who have been pitted against each other by fans and media and everyone with an opinion. We're watching them finally come together for their country, for the sport, for something bigger than themselves. And honestly, that might be the most compelling storyline of all. But here's the thing. Everything I've told you so far is just the setup, the foundation, the context you need to understand before we dive into what's really happened behind the scenes. Because the FIBA leak, the Nike shoe debut, the young guns taking over, that's only half the story. There's a business side to all of this that most fans don't see. A tension between players in the league that's been simmering for months. A power struggle that could impact not just this tournament, but the entire future of women's basketball. And what I'm about to tell you next, it might change how you view everything. The business of basketball is changing, and not everyone is happy about it. See, what most fans don't realize is that behind every jersey, behind every highlight, behind every social media post celebrating these athletes, there's a war being waged. A quiet war. A war over money, over power, over who really controls the future of women's basketball. And this qualifying tournament in San Juan, it's not just a basketball event. It's a battleground. Let me explain. For years, decades really, WNBA players have been fighting for fair compensation, fighting for respect, fighting for the kind of treatment that their male counterparts receive without question. And slowly, incrementally, painfully, they've been winning that fight. Salaries have increased. Media coverage has expanded. Sponsorship opportunities have multiplied. The landscape has shifted in ways that would have seemed impossible just 5 years ago. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Much of that shift, much of that progress, it happened because of one player, Caitlin Clark. Now, before you come at me in the comments, let me be crystal clear about something. The veteran players, the A'ja Wilsons and Breanna Stewarts and Diana Taurasi's of the world, they laid the foundation. They fought the battles when nobody was watching. They sacrificed financially, emotionally, and physically to keep this league alive during the years when attendance was sparse and television ratings were almost non-existent. Without them, there is no WNBA. Period. But here's what's also true. Caitlin Clark brought eyeballs. Massive, unprecedented, impossible to ignore eyeballs. Her rookie season generated television ratings that shattered every previous record. Games that would normally attract a few 100,000 viewers suddenly pulled in millions. Arenas that had empty sections were suddenly selling out. Merchandise that sat on shelves was suddenly impossible to find. She didn't just join the WNBA. She transformed it. And that transformation created tension. Because when the money starts flowing, when the television contract get bigger and the sponsorship deals get richer and the advertising revenue starts actually meaning something, everyone wants their piece. The veterans want recognition for building the foundation. The new stars want compensation for driving the current boom. The league wants control over how everything gets distributed. And somewhere in the middle of all that, the players are being asked to do more. Play more games, participate in more events, represent their country in tournaments that used to be optional. This is where the San Juan qualifier becomes so complicated. See, international play isn't just about patriotism. It's about obligation. It's about contracts and agreements and expectations that players didn't necessarily sign up for when they joined the WNBA. And some players, some very prominent, very important players, have been pushing back. They're tired. They're injured. They're managing workloads across multiple leagues, multiple continents, multiple commitments. When USA Basketball calls and asks them to represent their country in a qualifying tournament, some of them are starting to ask questions they never asked before. Do I have to do this? What happens if I say no? And most importantly, what's in it for me? This is a leverage game. This is what's happening behind closed doors while FIBA posts pictures and fans debate roster spots. The established veterans have earned the right to negotiate. They've earned the right to set boundaries. They've earned the right to prioritize their health and their careers over a tournament that, let's be honest, Team USA is going to win regardless of who shows up. But the young players, Clark, Paige Bueckers, A'ja Reese, they don't have that leverage yet. They need this tournament. They need the experience. They need the exposure. They need the opportunity to prove themselves on the international stage. They need to resume building that comes with representing their country. And perhaps most importantly, they need the marketing platform, which brings us back to Nike. Because Nike didn't become the most powerful brand in sports by accident. They didn't build their empire by making random decisions. Every move they make is calculated. Every timing decision is intentional. Every product launch is designed to maximize impact. So when Nike chooses the San Juan qualifier as the moment to unveil Clark's signature sneaker, that's not coincidence. That's strategy. Think about it from a pure business perspective. Where else could Nike generate this much attention for a women's basketball shoe? The WNBA regular season? Games are spread out. Attention is divided. Competition for headlines is fierce. The Olympics? Too crowded. Too many stories. Too many athletes fighting for spotlight. But a qualifying tournament featuring Clark, Paige Bueckers, and A'ja Reese, all wearing Team USA jerseys, all playing together for first time, all competing in what's expected to be the most watched qualifier in basketball history, that's a captive audience. That's guaranteed attention. That's the perfect launch pad for the most anticipated women's basketball sneaker of all time. And here's what makes this even more fascinating. Nike isn't just selling shoes. They're selling a narrative. They're selling the idea that women's basketball has arrived, that these athletes deserve the same treatment, the same investment, the same hype as any male superstar. When Clark steps onto that court in San Juan wearing her signature Nikes for the first time, it won't just be a product debut. It will be a statement, a declaration that women's sports are worth premium investment, that female athletes can move merchandise at the highest level. That's bigger than basketball. That's cultural. And Nike knows exactly what they're doing. But here's the question that keeps me up at night. Is all of this pressure too much? Think about what Clark is walking into. She's not just playing basketball. She's not just trying to win games. She's carrying the weight of an entire industry on her shoulders. The WNBA needs her to deliver ratings. Nike needs her to sell shoes. USA Basketball needs her to perform on the international stage. The media needs her to provide content. The fans need her to be everything they built her up to be. That's an impossible amount of pressure for anyone, let alone a 23-year-old who just finished her rookie season. And Paige Bueckers? She's carrying her own weight. She's the #1 pick entering the WNBA. She's the player everyone has been waiting for since she dominated college basketball as a freshman. She's the one who was supposed to change everything before injuries derailed her momentum. Now she's finally healthy, finally ready, finally about to prove what everyone always believed she could be. But here's the thing about expectations. They can motivate you, or they can crush you. And when you combine the pressure on Clark with the pressure on Bueckers, with the media circus that follows both of them everywhere they go, San Juan could be incredible, or it could be a disaster waiting to happen. That's the risk USA Basketball is taking. That's the gamble the entire sport is making. They're betting everything on these young women being ready, being mature enough, talented enough, mentally strong enough to handle the brightest spotlight any qualifiers ever had. And honestly, I think they are. Here's why. Clark has already been through the fire. She's already faced the criticism. She's already heard the doubters say she wasn't ready for the Olympics. She's already proven, game after game, that she can perform when the pressure is highest. Her rookie season wasn't easy. She didn't dominate immediately. She had to learn, adapt, grow. But by the end, She was arguably the most important player in the league, not statistically, not in terms of wins and losses, but in terms of what she meant, what she represented, what she brought to the table every single night. That's not someone who's going to crumble under pressure. That's someone who thrives in it. And Paige has been dealing with pressure since she was 16 years old. She was the most hyped recruit in women's basketball history. She came to UConn with impossible expectations and somehow managed to exceed them. Winning Player of the Year as a freshman. Then the injuries came. The doubts came. The questions about whether she'd ever be the same player again. But she fought back. She won a national championship. She proved that the talent and the heart and the intelligence were still there, still elite, still capable of producing magic on the biggest stages. These aren't fragile athletes hoping they can handle the spotlight. These are proven performers who have already shown what they can do when everything is on the line. And now they get to do it together for the first time, wearing the same jersey, fighting for the same goal. That's not just exciting, that's historic. But let me tell you something else. Something that might get lost in all the hype about Clark and Bueckers. A'ja Reese matters too, and not just as a supporting character. A'ja Reese is coming off her own incredible rookie season. Double-double machine, dominant rebounder, physical presence that nobody in the league could match. She's everything that Caitlin Clark isn't, and I mean that as a compliment to both of them. Clark is a shooter, the passer, the orchestrator. Reese is the rebounder, the enforcer, the relentless force who makes plays through sheer will and effort. Put them together, you have balance. You have complementary skill sets. You have a team that's suddenly very, very dangerous. And the storyline writes itself. Two rivals, two players who've been compared and contrasted and debated endlessly. Two athletes who represent different things to different people, playing together for their country. Can they put aside whatever personal feelings exist? Can they find chemistry on the court? Can they prove that all the rivalry talk was just media noise and that, at the end of the day, they're both competitors who want to win? That's the question everyone will be asking. That's the narrative that will drive every broadcast, every article, every social media post leading up to San Juan. And honestly, that's exactly what USA basketball wants. Because attention is everything. Viewership is everything. And this tournament is going to have more attention and more viewership than any qualifier in history. Not just women's basketball history. Any basketball history. Think about that for a second. A qualifying tournament. The kind of event that normally gets buried on obscure cable channels. The kind of event that only hardcore fans even know exists. It's about to become must-watch television. It's about to break records. It's about to prove once and for all that women's basketball can compete with anything else in sports for audience attention. And at the center of it all, Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, A'ja Reese. Three young women who didn't ask to carry the weight of an entire sport, but are carrying it anyway. Now, I want to address something before we wrap this up. There are people who think all of this is overhyped. People who roll their eyes at the coverage. People who dismiss the excitement as manufactured or artificial or undeserved. To those people, I say this, you're missing the point. What's happening right now isn't just about these specific players. It's not just about the specific tournament. It's about what it represents. For decades, women's basketball has been waiting for its breakthrough moment, waiting for the stars to align, waiting for the perfect combination of talent and personality and timing that could finally push the sport into mainstream consciousness. And now, that moment is here. Not because some marketing executive decided it should happen, but because these players are genuinely transcendent, genuinely compelling, genuinely worth watching. Caitlin Clark didn't become a phenomenon because someone manufactured her appeal. She became a phenomenon because she makes shots nobody else can make, because she sees passes nobody else can see, because she plays with joy and confidence that's impossible to fake. Paige Bueckers didn't become the most anticipated WNBA draft pick in years because of hype. She earned it through performance, through skill, through an ability to dominate games that has been evident since the first time she stepped onto a college court. Angel Reese didn't become a household name because of controversy. She became one because she's a winner, a fighter, a player who refuses to be outworked or outcompete by anyone. These athletes are real. Their talent is real, and the moment they're creating is real. So when FIBA posts that image, Clark and Bueckers side by side, the next chapter written underneath, they're not just promoting a tournament, they're announcing the future. A future where women's basketball matters as much as any other sport. A future where young girls see athletes like them on television and believe that anything is possible. A future where the WNBA isn't fighting for respect. It commands it. That's what San Juan represents. That's what's at stake. And that's why you should care. So here's my question to you. Do you think they're ready? Do you think Clark and Paige Bueckers can step onto that international stage and prove they belong? Do you think they can play together, combining their talents instead of competing for the spotlight? Do you think this Team USA roster, built around youth and potential instead of proven veterans, can deliver when the games actually start? I want to know what you think. Drop your answer in the comments below. Tell me if you're buying the hype or if you think this is all premature. Tell me who you're most excited to watch. Tell me if you think Clark and Bueckers can coexist on the same backcourt. And while you're at it, if you made it this far in the video, smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to be covering everything that happens in San Juan. Every game, every highlight, every storyline. This is going to be the most important qualifying tournament in basketball history. And you're going to want to be here when history happens. The next chapter is about to begin. Clark, Paige Bueckers, Team USA, March 11th through the 17th, San Juan, Puerto Rico. The world will be watching, and I have a feeling what we're about to witness is going to be absolutely unforgettable.